Previously on Walking Life Together.
God is ultimately sovereign. Like, he's sovereign over everything. He's sovereign even over science, as much as we want to deny it.
Can you describe your feelings when you were going through that season?
Mm-hmm. So primarily a lot of uncertainty. That was the main thing. What if this doesn't happen? What will happen next? There's just a lot of uncertainty in that. The anxiety, I think the anxiety is because, you feel like time is running out. So you're worried, well, how long are we going to wait until we go to our plan B? Probably the time when we learned that IVF failed. So it was after, like I said, a few days after I had undergone the procedure. There was a lot of grieving at that time. So I actually had to take time off from work because even though you know that the fertilized eggs didn't grow, there's still such a sense of loss about it. One thing though, I think the sense of hopelessness never really touched my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was grateful. I was grateful for that. I think the Lord guarded my heart from that. And then after the IVF failed, and then we decided, let's just take a break. And because that happened during, I want to say, October. If we're going to do another round of IVF treatments, that will be right around Christmas or the holidays. So, and if it doesn't take, I just don't think I can take another loss during the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to stop and wait and just kind of recover and pray and just use that season to pray. And with that came peace. Just the whole journey from doing the artificial insemination until doing the IVF, there were a lot of just roller coaster emotions. You hope that the fertilization will take place, hope that you will conceive, and then that hope will get dashed down if it doesn't happen. So it's just a lot of ups and downs.
Mm.
And the hormones definitely did not help. I mean, the medicines that they were giving me just kind of amplified all the highs and the lows. But definitely a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, and grief.
Mm-hmm.
When the one after another, the procedure doesn't, you don't like the outcome of the procedure. So
Mm-hmm.
so I had my Yumi in 2012, and then two or 2.5 years later, I got pregnant again. But that pregnancy ended up in a miscarriage. That was probably, the grief that I felt when my initial IVF failed. The initial IVF failed. I think it was the same grief that I felt after I had the miscarriage. As I remember, that was winter season, and we were out in the mountains. We were snowshoeing in the mountains, and I know I was pregnant at that time. I think like 10 weeks along. We were snowshoeing, and then a few days after that was my first prenatal visit for that second pregnancy, and that's when I learned that the heart was not beating, and that was my first prenatal, and I was the only one in that office visit. So yeah, that was a very sad, devastating time.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of self-blame, because you think, well, maybe if I didn't snowshoe that weekend, maybe this couldn't happen. But but my OB kind of reassured me that most of the first trimester miscarriages are generally out of our control, meaning there's usually some genetic problem that caused them to miscarry. So there were a lot of outpouring of support and prayers from for us, from our families and our friends. And I truly appreciate all the words of comfort from family and friend, but they didn't touch my heart as much as when I prayed and just asked God to take away the grief. So that was that. I mean, I guess that's another lesson that I learned, that human words are effective. Human words are wonderful. But during that time when my grief was so big, it was only God's words that really gave me comfort. So that was again just a testimony of how powerful He is.
Mm-hmm.
not being a biological mother does not diminish your worth as a human and as a woman.